So that just helps to sort of reveal some of the reality of these things that, quite often get talked about as rumors, but are actually reality and just a part of operating, in these markets. So another part of hardware is IoT devices, and more organizations are getting these within their environments, especially when you start talking about distributed environments, whether it's universities or critical infrastructure providers or even retail, for example. Um, we're getting more and more of these in our networks. Um, and some of these contain both either they're very well known for being insecure, because especially when you're dealing with low powered devices, but some of them actually contain quite dodgy backdoors in them. So there was some research that was done and revealed that all of these icons, these logos and products that you can see on the screen there, contained a combination of high silicon chips and Xionmai firmware in these CCTV devices. So, um, funnily enough, try to avoid Huawei. They came back into it. So high silicon is actually owned by Huawei. And with these devices, there's a security technique called port knocking. And basically, you can have a system that's completely filtered off from the internet, so it filters itself off. There's no listening ports. But what you can actually do is this thing called port knocking, where if you send a specific combinations of packets to the system, it actually takes that as a bit of a password and instructions. And so these particular devices, if you sent this port knocking over the network, it would actually, on port 5930, it would actually then enable the telnet service and actually have that listening and accessible on the internet. You could then actually log in via the telnet service using a series of hard-coded passwords. So these are as the root user, so you can see the root account and you can see the hard-coded passwords over here that you could just basically send that port knocking, connect to the telnet service, go and log in, and you've got root access to the device, which you can then use as a pivot. You can either obviously control the CCTV system, or you can use that as a pivot point to then access the rest of your internal environment. We've done plenty of penetration tests on, sort of building management systems and red team engagements. And, typically when we get to a CCTV network, you can then escalate privileges out of that.